Osaro was a very poor man. He had only one child, a little girl named Itohan. Every day, he worked hard, but he never had enough money. One evening, Osaro's friends, Ikuen and Eghosa, came to visit him. "Osaro," said Ikuen, "we have a way for you to become rich. There is a powerful man who can help us. But we must make a great sacrifice." Osaro looked at his friends with worry. "What kind of sacrifice?" he asked. Eghosa whispered, "We need to use someone very close to us for the ritual. You have Itohan, don't you?" Osaro felt his heart break. "No, I can't do that. I love my daughter too much." Ikuen and Eghosa tried to convince him. "Think of all the money you will have. You will never be poor again. Itohan will have a better life in the spirit world." But Osaro shook his head. "No, I will not sacrifice my child." His friends got angry. "Fine, stay poor forever," they shouted and left. Osaro hugged Itohan tightly. "Don't worry, my child. I will find a way to take care of us." Days turned into weeks, and Osaro remained poor. But he was happy to have his daughter with him. Little did he know, Ikuen and Eghosa were planning something dangerous. One night, Osaro heard a noise outside his small hut. He peered out the window and saw shadows moving in the dark. His heart raced. What were his friends up to? Osaro quietly moved back into the hut, his heart pounding. He knew he had to stay strong for Itohan. The next morning, he went to the market to sell some firewood. As he was setting up, Ikuen and Eghosa approached him again. "Osaro," said Ikuen, "you are making a big mistake. You can have everything you ever wanted." Eghosa nodded. "We are your friends. We only want to help you. Just come with us to see the Baba. Listen to what he has to say. You don't have to decide now." Osaro felt unsure. He didn't want to disappoint his friends, but he couldn't betray his daughter either. "Alright, I will go with you, but I won't promise anything." That evening, Osaro left Itohan with his neighbor and followed Ikuen and Eghosa into the deep forest. They walked for a long time until they reached a small, dark hut. An old man with a long white beard and piercing eyes sat inside. "Welcome, Osaro," the old man said. "I hear you are a good father. You work hard, but life is not fair to you." Osaro nodded, feeling nervous. "Yes, Baba. But I cannot sacrifice my child." The old man smiled. "No one is asking you to decide now. Just listen to me. I can give you wealth beyond your dreams. All you need to do is one small thing. Your friends have already agreed." Osaro glanced at Ikuen and Eghosa. They nodded eagerly. "Think of all the money, Osaro," said Ikuen. "You will never be poor again." Eghosa added, "You can build a big house for Itohan. She will go to the best school." Osaro felt confused and scared. "I need to think about it," he said. The old man nodded. "Take your time. But remember, the offer will not last forever." As they walked back, Ikuen and Eghosa kept talking about the riches. "Just imagine, Osaro. You will be the richest man in the village." Osaro remained silent. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. When he got home, he hugged Itohan tightly. He knew he had to stay strong. But the temptation was growing. Days turned into weeks, and Osaro's life seemed to get harder with each passing day. The small earnings from his firewood were barely enough to buy food. One evening, as he sat in his hut with Itohan, Ikuen and Eghosa visited him again. "Osaro, look at us," said Ikuen, showing off his new clothes and shiny wristwatch. "We have everything we ever wanted. You can have this too." Eghosa pulled out a wad of cash from his pocket. "Look at all this money, Osaro. We can help you. Just say yes, and all of this can be yours. Osaro felt a pound of envy. His friends seemed so happy and successful. But he couldn't bring himself to make the sacrifice. I can't do it, he said, shaking his head. The next morning, as Osaro was walking to the market, he saw Ikuen and Eghosa driving a new car. They stopped and offered him a ride. Come on, Osaro, let us show you how good life can be. Reluctantly, Osaro got into the car. They drove to a big house with a beautiful garden. This can be your life, said Eghosa. You don't have to suffer anymore. Osaro looked around, feeling torn. His poverty was getting worse. He hadn't eaten a proper meal in days, and Itohan's clothes were becoming tattered. But he couldn't forget the Boba's words. He couldn't bring himself to sacrifice his daughter. One evening, after another long day of hard work and little reward, Ikuen and Eghosa visited Osaro again. They brought bags of food and new clothes for Itohan. See, Osaro, said Ikuen, we are your friends. We want to help you. Eghosa added, just think about it. Your life doesn't have to be this hard. Just one small sacrifice, and you can have everything. Osaro thanked them for the gifts but remained firm. I will think about it, he said, though his resolve was weakening. The days grew harder. The rains came, and Osaro's hut started leaking. He and Itohan had to huddle in one dry corner to stay warm. He felt hopeless, but he couldn't give in. One night, as Osaro lay awake, he heard a knock on the door. It was Ikuen and Eghosa again. Osaro, they whispered urgently, this is your last chance. The Boba is getting impatient. Come with us now, or lose this opportunity forever. Osaro looked at Itohan, sleeping peacefully beside him. His heart ached. He knew what he had to do, but the temptation was stronger than ever. Give me one more day, he pleaded. Ikuen and Eghosa exchanged glances. All right, Osaro. But remember, this is your last chance. As they left, Osaro sat by the door, his mind racing. His poverty was unbearable, but the price was too high. He had to make a decision soon, but for now, he clung to his daughter and prayed for strength. The next day, Osaro woke up with a heavy heart. He felt like he was standing at the edge of a cliff, unsure of what to do. As he went about his daily tasks, he kept thinking about Ikuen and Eghosa's offer. The weight of his poverty pressed down on him like never before. In the afternoon, Ikuen and Eghosa showed up at his hut once more. This time, they brought more gifts, food, clothes, and even a little money. Osaro, said Ikuen, you don't have to live like this. We can help you. Eghosa added, come with us to see the Boba again. Maybe hearing his words one more time will help you decide. Osaro felt torn, but he agreed to go with them. He couldn't deny that he needed help. They walked through the forest again, and soon they reached the small, dark hut where the Boba lived. The old man welcomed them inside. Osaro, the Boba said in his deep, calm voice, I see you have come back. You are a good father, but your suffering is great. I can end your pain. All you need to do is make a small sacrifice. Osaro swallowed hard. I don't know if I can do it, he said, his voice barely a whisper. The Boba leaned closer. I understand your fear. But think of the life you can give your daughter. A life without hunger, without pain. You can give her everything. Ikuen and Eghosa nodded eagerly. He's right, Osaro, said Ikuen. Look at us. We made the sacrifice, and now we have everything we need. Eghosa pulled out more money from his pocket. This can be yours, Osaro. Just say yes. Osaro felt his resolve weakening again. He looked at the Boba, then at his friends. I need more time, he said, his voice shaking. The Boba sighed. Time is running out, Osaro. But I will give you one more chance. Think carefully. Do you want to continue living in misery, or do you want to change your life forever? Osaro nodded and left the hut, feeling more confused than ever. Ikuen and Eghosa walked him back to the village, still trying to convince him. Osaro, you deserve a better life, said Eghosa. Your daughter deserves it too. Think of Itohan, added Ikuen. She can have a bright future if you just say yes. Osaro couldn't stop thinking about their words. His poverty was getting worse every day. The roof of his hut leaked more, and the food they had was barely enough to keep them alive. He knew he had to make a decision soon, but he couldn't bring himself to sacrifice his daughter. That night, as he lay awake, he heard the rain pouring down on his leaking roof. Itohan shivered beside him, cold and hungry. Osaro felt a tear roll down his cheek. He knew he had to do something, but he couldn't make the sacrifice. Morning came, and Osaro went about his work with a heavy heart. His friends kept visiting, showing off their wealth, trying to tempt him. Each day, his resolve weakened a little more. But deep down, he knew he couldn't betray his daughter. One evening, as he sat outside his hut, Ikuen and Eghosa approached him again. Osaro, said Ikuen, the Baba is waiting. This is your last chance. Come with us. Osaro looked at his friends, then at his daughter playing nearby. He felt the weight of his decision pressing down on him. I can't do it, he said finally. Ikuen and Eghosa exchanged glances. Alright, Osaro, said Eghosa. But remember, this is your last chance. Think carefully. As they left, Osaro hugged Itohan tightly, praying for strength. He knew he had to make a decision soon, but for now, he held on to his daughter and hoped for a miracle. The next morning, Osaro woke up with a new idea. He couldn't stop thinking about what the Baba had said. He needed a solution, but he couldn't sacrifice Itohan. He decided to talk to Ikuen and Eghosa once more. That evening, he went to Ikuen's house. Ikuen, Eghosa, he said, I need to speak with the Baba again. But I want to propose something different. Can we use animals for the sacrifice instead of my daughter? Ikuen and Eghosa exchanged looks but nodded. We can ask, said Ikuen. Come with us. They walked through the forest to the Baba's hut. The old man welcomed them inside. Osaro, you have returned, he said. Have you made your decision? Osaro took a deep breath. Baba, I cannot sacrifice my daughter. She means everything to me. But what if we use animals instead? The Baba stroked his beard, thinking. Animals. It is possible, but it will not be easy. You must understand, Osaro, that this is a different path. There will be greater sacrifices ahead, and you cannot escape them. If you try to back out, you will die, and all the wealth will disappear. Do you accept these terms? Osaro felt his heart pounding. He looked at Ikuen and Eghosa, who nodded encouragingly. Yes, Baba, he said. I accept. Just help me end my poverty. The Baba nodded. Very well. We will begin the ritual tomorrow. Bring the animals to me, and we will proceed. But remember, Osaro, there is no turning back. Osaro left the hut feeling a mix of fear and hope. The next day, he gathered the animals the Baba had requested, a goat, a chicken, and a cow. With Ikuen and Eghosa by his side, they walked back to the Baba's hut. The Baba began the ritual, chanting and making markings on the ground. Osaro watched as the Baba sacrificed the animals, feeling both relieved and anxious. When it was over, the Baba handed Osaro a small pouch. This is for you, he said. It will bring you wealth. But remember, the greater sacrifices are yet to come. Osaro took the pouch and thanked the Baba. As he walked back to the village, he felt a strange energy in the air. When he got home, he opened the pouch and